welcome to the clashing of steel. So today I am doing a simple test to compare armored and regular Legionnaires. I mean, there is this question often enough about players of how strong are armored Legionnaires, how much better are they? So this is simple fighting statistics. I'm gonna use the road where armored Legionnaires get ridiculous bonuses. I'm gonna use the forest where armored Legionnaires get ridiculous penalties, and then I'm gonna use the open ground where everything should be near equal. This is just a fighting test. I'm not evaluating the mobility, the movement speed of armored Legionnaires, or anything like that. I have picked a simple formation, which is unit packed together as tight and as narrow as possible. And I'm also being helped by Matjak, or I'm not gonna try and pronounce it. I just don't want to twist my tongue that way. Anyways, with his help, I'm gonna find out how these engagements work and how they will end on different terrains. So we're using the same formation, tight and narrow. I'm gonna show what happened to the wide experiment before, and there was a lot of maybe issues there. We're not gonna use charge simply because armored Legionnaires would get the benefit from the charge and would overpower us, or power the regulars. Instead, we're just gonna let them engage and then use vengeance to see which burns out faster. I mean, on the road, the bonuses that the armored Legionnaires get is just ridiculous. That is the main place you don't want to fight them. So on the open ground, none of us get any bonuses, and this is just going one-on-one. Simply again with the vengeance. And well, the final one in the forest, that is where the armored Legionnaires suffer the most penalties. They have reduced melee defense and reduced offense capabilities. So the forest is the likeliest place where I can win this. Well, vengeance has helped this match go along rather fast. We both are using the stock or the vanilla gear for this tier and the maxed out vengeance. So everything should be equal except the unit types. And as it can be seen, the road is dominating very heavily. The armored Legionnaires will just out-survive that unit on the road in ridiculous ways. While in the forest, it seems that the regular Legionnaires are actually winning. The big problem often enough when fighting against the remnants is that you're gonna lose a lot more to the remnants than you're gonna lose to the full health unit. Or at least the health bar decline will be a lot smaller for the low health unit than it will be for the full health unit. So as of no surprise, the road is easily won by armored Legionnaires. I mean, the main difference they have, armored Legionnaires have a wee bit more offense capabilities, a lot less mobility, and a lot more defense. So that is what makes them special. They are highly resilient, highly resistant to a lot of damage. So having around 20% of its health bar left and 25-30ish troops. Out on the open ground, it seems that armored Legionnaires are still struggling. They're still fighting quite heavily, but my unit is almost dead. The armored Legionnaires will defeat there. But in the forest, that is where the biggest amount of difference can be made. That is where armored Legionnaires are literally horrible. You might even be able to run away from them with any other heavy units. So none of this was a big surprise. I'm gonna also head over to another test of the similar type, but only difference being how we spread out our units. This was a very narrow formation we were using in this fight. But here in this one, we're using as widespread formation as we could. So we're still not gonna charge. Charging is, well, it would definitely mean victory for the armored Legionnaires because the impact they can inflict, even if I countercharge, is ridiculous in this case. But what is special with a wide formation is that the units don't exactly mix the way you want. Okay, form combat could help there, which could change this outcome a wee bit. And also the strikes, which I think can be used a wee bit more often on regular Legionnaires than armored Legionnaires. Just a cooldown difference. So the same fight, the same idea, the same basics. One on the road, one on the open ground, and one in the forest. Everything is the same. There's anything different. Even the high ground, I tried that differently, the high ground didn't matter anything. For a moment I thought the high ground might matter a bit, because the outcome of this battle, you can already see the health bar of the armored legionnaires fighting on the road. It's near equal. It's really surprising. The white formation, it really depends how your troops surround the opponent. Well, look at this here. We have, well, he has a bit more health left than I do. And last match, he won with that health, or even with bigger health actually and more troops. But the formation matters a lot, how your troops mix. The better you can surround your opponent, the more damage you will inflict. So it can be really dependent on RNG and how your troops will act against your opponents. I mean, this time, the ones on the road lost a lot more. The remaining troops were, I think it was 3 times smaller than it was in the last match. Okay, I'm gonna also throw in the third try with these units, and then I'm gonna do and show something a bit more interesting. To show that none of this matters, that the formation will work its way, we have both picked tier 5 Roman sword infantry with stock gear and stock vengeance and everything. We're gonna use vengeance, we're gonna try and show how it plays out. So basically, at first, it appears that he's winning, but things will actually change. The widespread formation and how units actually mix, it matters really a lot. And you can basically already see the difference. I'm inflicting a lot more damage than he is. Theoretically, one would think that they would degrade near equally, but I still have somewhat interesting advantage in front of him. I mean, eventually they will still degrade to equal amount, because remnants will just make that big of a difference. But the idea during this whole test has been to see how well do armored and regular legionnaires actually withstand against each other. How well do they withstand? And even on tier 5, we can see that often enough, if the units are near equal, they have slight differences. It still matters somewhat, but there seems to be this RNG factor, this formation factor, the way they mix, which changes a lot of it. So the remnants bring it down to near equal level, but you did see the difference at the beginning and in the middle of it. And well, here is the best example why it is so. We are still using different tiers. We do have one same tier unit, which is tier 5, which will be fighting in the end. So he's using narrow and I'm using wide, and the other way around. Just to show the performance, just to show the difference of how these outcomes are different. I'm still gonna use both units because armored legionnaires, well, they're armored legionnaires. But what I want to point out here is that the wide formation actually can make your troops surround your opponent a wee bit more, creating a more probable engagement where a single opposing soldier might be fighting against 2 friendly soldiers. Just because, let's say the corner soldier, which would be the best example. Also here, I'm not fighting exactly against the narrow formation, that is the regular one. But just to show how much different it still is. These are equal tier, same units, tier 5s back there. And well, these are tier 7s here. Tier 5s will have their performance shown in the end. I think the original engagement was in the favor of the narrow units, but it changes over time. Everything here is incredibly specific, and I've been wanting to explain why these formations are different and what are the benefits. The main benefit of the narrow formation is that you'll probably take less damage from the charge impact. You'll have better time sneaking around your opponent. You have better time going through your opponent. That is basically also the reason why there is the wedge formation in this game for Alexander. That is also a great ability to sneak through, to push through certain locations. So this was on the open ground against armed legionnaires. On the left side, or the left unit, is the one that went in narrow formation against my wide formation and suffered heavy losses. That is probably the worst outcome you can have. and the other one, which is now to the left, is the one that went with wide formation against the narrow formation. It performed a lot better. And my wide formation TF5 against the regular formation TF5 is also performing quite well. So this was probably the best outcome I could get. This was to be expected, and that is where I wanted to get with this video. That there is also difference between the regular and armed legionnaires, and there is difference between the formations you use. Wide formation can help you finish off your opponent a wee bit better. It has its buts, especially when fighting against something that is formed combat or anything like that. But in one-on-one fight, simply having spread your units wider is a better choice. Well, I'm out of time. So anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.